Hey, Jesse, welcome to Breakdown.
Hey, thanks for having me.
LionShareDigital.com, LionShareDigital.com,
Yeah.
LIONS, ShareDigital.com. That's where you can find Jesse. You're all-in-one creative partner web design company in Austin, Texas. Really interested to dive in today to see who you are, what you do for your agency, and how you use, of course, Gravity Forms is how we get connected. So tell us, what is it that your agency offers and how long have you been doing this?
A chat. Yeah, we're based in Austin, Texas. I've been in business since 2011. We're a full service digital media agency, everything from discovery, branding, WordPress websites, Shopify, WooCommerce, marketing. We do PPC and SEO. And so, yeah, we really try to be the complete package for our customers so that we can take a holistic approach to growing their business, bringing them more leads, solving whatever problems they may have. And obviously, we're really excited about coming, all the tools and capabilities that AI is offering, kind of looking at this business intelligent building dashboards for agency or for our customers as an agency. So that's sort of what's on the horizon for us.
And how do you keep WordPress at the center of that, if at all? Like, how do you keep WordPress or any content management system at the center of it for your customers? Are most people starting with, like, fundamentally with a website, or do you have some customers who just come to you with like mobile app requests and who cares about the website or some other kind of like technology? And talk to us how you sort of like keep WordPress at the center, if at all.
The fourth employee of WP Engine. I've been working with WordPress since the early days. I had my own personal website. So I'm a big fan of WordPress. I do think that it's aging and really needs some love and some help. But it's still a great solution. I often tell people it's a round peg in a square hole. You've got some still things that you need to finish and flesh out for it to be a really great solution and offering for your business. But yeah, a ton of our clients use WordPress. We're not doing any Webflow or any of that right now. It's pretty much a 100% of the brochure and sort of marketing websites that we do for customers are based in WordPress, and then we have a number of Shopify clients where they're obviously using that to sell their products.
How does
How,
shop real quick on the Shopify front? How does that change for you, like the conversation or the type of customer? Do you find it to be easier when you're dealing with a client in Shopify land? Like, do people understand, oh, this is Shopify, I understand what I'm going to get from this, versus maybe the WordPress where you're doing a lot of like, I got to educate this person on how WordPress all comes together?
mm, I think one of the things that LionShare is great at is taking customers that are at a certain level in their business where things are working, but they want to take it to the next level. So oftentimes people come in and they already have a pretty good understanding of what they're trying to do with their website, what it can do for them, what it should be doing for them. And we just take on the heavy lifting. We take on the design, the development, the maintenance, and fixing things that are broken, like, just to plug Gravity Forms. Oftentimes people come in with like, contact form 7, and they're like, I lost all these leads and I don't have a record of them. And we're like, yeah, that's why we don't use contact form 7, because we don't want to install yet another plugin so that it remembers what is there. I understand why that maybe was done, but we
Yeah.
really like Gravity Forms. That's sort of our go-to form plugin. So as an agency, we have a list of plugins that we know work really well that go hand in hand with a WordPress installation. And we know that they're going to be safe. They're going to be updated. They're not going out of business. We know what the cost of ownership is. We know how they work. We know what they can do. We know what they can't do. We know what it's going to look like when somebody asks for blah, blah, blah. Then we know, okay, that's going to cost you about this to do. So those are our tools and those are our toolkit, and we know how to service our customers with those. We know how to install, okay, Gravity Forms is going to hook into this Salesforce or this Zapier connection or Brevo or whatever it may be for lead generation and nurturing sequences and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Obviously AI massive impact on like what's happening in all of our lives, our personal lives, our professional lives, certainly building websites and in WordPress world and Gravity Forms world. What's the biggest impact for you as an agency owner? Is it, are you afraid of competition now? Does competition feel different? Is it just benefits, clear benefits where you're being more productive and you're able to do more work or do more in-depth, smarter work? What's the biggest impact for you so far?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of cool things to say here. I'm not scared. I think if you have a good offer and you do good business, you're going to continue to be in business. It's up to us to learn these tools and sort of blaze this trail. It certainly is going to put some agencies probably out of business, level the playing field for some cases, probably displace some jobs. But I just got back from a really cool conference here in Austin. I live in Austin, Texas. I am a former member of You Gurus, which is a agency work group founded by Brent Weaver, and now Brent Weaver works for a company called E2M. That's a white label or a black label development company, and they put on a conference here called Vistara, and Vistara was all about the agencies and how AI are going to work together. And so he's really pitching the idea of the agentic agencies. So I think it's not enough just to be a service company anymore. You need to be sort of service and software, which is where I was kind of going back to what I first said earlier, as being building business intelligent dashboards of like looking, okay, now all of us are, death by 1,000 cups with our subscriptions and SaaS all over the place. What's my CMS? What is my, LMS look like? What is my, how am I tracking my leads? All of those pieces are like in different places now. Our goal is to tie all of that together for your business so that you can see your sales, your operations, your financial picture, and sort of see that as a business in a holistic way. So we're building that for ourselves right now. And Brent and E2M showed their version of that for their customers. So it's really possible now more than ever to build your own software with Claude and with, other tools to say, okay, I need to connect this piece of data, pull that in, connect this piece of data, pull that in. Now let's do something smart with it. So we're building our own internal dashboard, LionShare OS. And strangely enough, like when we named the company, it ended up being LSD. So we're also calling it LSD OS. So it sounds like LSD dose. Did not do that on purpose, but it is a funny twist of the words. So
yeah. So as soon as you put it on the business card, you were like, wait a minute. What mistakes have we made?
Yeah, well, we have another client, which their acronym ended up being ACID too. We were like, what is going on? So there's some pretty funny stuff.
That's hilarious. I just saw Brent at back in April at PressConf, which is a WordPress podcast conference about the business of WordPress, and he showed off some really cool stuff. I remember him showing off something that he was doing with AI. He showed a recording of one of his developers just like agentically building, WordPress sites, and sort of how like that like compressed the timeline of like building WordPress sites. And yeah, I mean, this stuff is all going to get, it's going to get interesting from a speed factor and obviously from a productivity factor, but I like what you're doing with like building an operating system for your agency. That is one of the things that I think. I ran an agency for a decade, and that's one of the hardest things is optimizing the business.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about selling the site, shipping the site, and then you're off to the next one. It's how, healthy agencies can come up with a workflow for, sourcing customers, obviously delivering the product, which is largely the website, supporting those customers ongoing. Like, how are we going to get recurring income coming in? And then you're one paycheck away from bankruptcy, right? Waiting for customers, to give you that last, payment of the website.
Yeah.
The more that you can optimize that, I think the better it's going to be. Well, I'm sure maybe with your OS stuff, if you want to talk about it, do you start pushing into like that agent realm where this stuff is all just happening automatically in the background and like pinging you on alerts? What's the most basic use case for you there?
That's where we're headed. I mean, we have our tech stack, right? So if we look at sales, I use Pipedrive for that. If I look at for invoicing and time log, we use FreshBooks for that. And I just want to be able to see everywhere. And then obviously for client management, we're using Asana and so on and so forth, right? And Slack. I want to be able to tie all of this information together and be able to bubble up information and say like, okay, this is this client and we're not doing these services for them. And then we have a call with them, logging some of that. There is an agent that sits in there and can read those meetings and be like, hey, there's an opportunity for an upsell here. Why don't you, like, even on this call, there was a mention of PPC or SEO, sort of a call to action there. So we're thinking about that. And then also it's a proof of concept for ourselves to build our own dashboard so that we can show our customers like, look, this is what we're doing. Like, let us do that for you, for your business. And I think, you hit on a lot of things. We don't suffer so much from that feast or famine. Last year was really tough in a lot of ways, but for the most part, we've got a really solid customer base, a lot of retainers, and solid work. And I think that staff augmentation model, if you can get it, where we plug into a larger organization and we're sort of their marketing arm, where we're doing the design and the development, the fulfillment, and to some extent the strategy and the execution on an idea or a campaign. People are finding that really valuable, and it allows them to go up or down and also not have that head count. And I think like we're doing some of that for ourselves, where looking at potentially like a staff augmentation on the project management side. And I think there's a lot of that fractional CMOs and fractional CTOs, things like that, where that allows some flexibility for some of the businesses in the world where things go up and things go down. So we're looking at that as well. I guess to circle back on the dashboard is we're just really looking at what's possible and using our own business as the case study so we can build that for ourselves. I'm working with a guy who's really great with AI. He's been deep in this for the last 5 years. And so, he's run and operated and he's been one of those people that comes into a business to help them turn it around. And now he's really using AI to do really cool things for businesses. So we're working together to kind of make that happen. So we're still in the early ages, but that's what I'm really excited about. And I think that's where the world is headed. Brent's real tagline was like, it's not enough to should be a service agency. It's really service and software. So I think where we're at right now is to come into a business, do that discovery, understand what makes them tick and what their product is, what their offering is, how do they connect with their customers, execute on the website and the app or whatever it may be to help them better sell that, help with the marketing, and then on top of that, put the business intelligence layer so that you can really help them optimize that from a A to Z stage. And I think that's a really cool solution and a really cool offer for businesses at a certain level, which we've done really well with.
Yeah. How does the client react, your type of client react to AI? And I presume that you're probably maybe transparent to a degree, like, hey, yeah, we use, which is even crazy to say because it's only been a few years, but like, how transparent are you to say like, some of this code is agentically built, our designs are agentically built, some of the support is agentically done. I'm curious to see how this whole industry responds to that. Like, do clients say, I don't want to pay you that much because I know it's AI driven? And I'm curious how this is starting to unravel. So have you ever had those discussions with clients where they're like, well,
no, we're really not. They are focused on their business and they are focused on the problems, and we're focused on their problems and we're focused on the solutions. I don't think people really care how the sausage is made so much. I think it's sort of table stakes. If they're going to get a bunch of emails with a ton of M dashes in there that sound like a robot wrote them without a lot of thought put in there, then I think there's probably going to be some red flags. But we think through the strategy. Yeah, we're going to bounce ideas off of Perplexity or Chat or Claude and brainstorm and iterate and think through them. But ultimately, it's all goes through a human layer with us. I think that there's going to be sort of this two-tiered system when it comes to food and services. I think people are going to end up paying more because they want to interact with a human being. I don't want to go to the Alamo Draft House and interact with AI to order my food. I like working with humans. I like interacting with humans. I'm probably willing to pay more as a premium to continue to do that.
Yeah. Which is something I think as agency owners, we debated or argued with our customers, for years. It's just like, you're hiring me because of the specialty, because because you trust us, because we have a particular skill set. It's just that that was always like hedged against like how long it took to build a website or to write code. So it was always like this weird middle ground where it's like, some of the money is spent over here in the development side, the other money is spent over here in the trust. Now, like you said, it could be shifting where customers go, I trust you to do this, but as soon as I see those M dashes, or as soon as my, the flyer that you made for me looks like every other Chat GPT flyer that I see on Instagram, we got to have a conversation that I want a different level of service, which is where you're going with. People are might pay for that elevation, that elevated service.
At a design level, we're really not diving into the auto-generated AI stuff. We may use an element if we can't find something that we need to source it, but ultimately it's still going to go through a human layer of our designer. And I think we just really value that. Like, we still want to be creatives. We still want to put our brains to the problem. I'm not trying to put on autopilot. It's great for helping me to write proposals. It's great for taking notes. It's great for iterating ideas. It's great for technical solutions. It can be great to write code, but it can also not be great for some of that. And we've built our own custom WordPress template. We know how it works. We know we've built our own layouts and our own, Gutenberg blocks so that we're not having to reinvent the wheel. Also, a lot of that efficiency gains that you would get by Claude just spinning up a website, we're already got a lot of that, and so we can move really quick. So then it comes down to design, translating that design into the proper code, CSS, and sort of animations, and Claude can do some of that, and we can move a little bit more quickly. But ultimately, again, like, our clients are not asking us about that. I think they just care about the problems and the problems getting solved, it getting done right. And they're worried about their business and their challenges, and they know we are too. And we're coming together on our, weekly or monthly syncs to talk about those and focus on those. And when they're interacting with a human and we're coming back, then everything is good. I'm sure people will start to push a little harder, but also I think our specific clients they really like working with us, and they know that we give them a fair deal. And so it's not coming down to those pressure points just yet with the budget. They know we do a good job and we deliver on our word.
What's for the freelancer in the audience who's listening to this going, all right, I feel like I might be struggling. Maybe I'm at that typical like $5,000 website project, not super, super basic, but not super, challenging. Any words of advice from your days of starting an agency to where you're at today to go, okay, this is how you're really going to like jump up to that next level? Because what I'm hearing you say is you've built a good book of business, retainers, of course, recurring work. You're part of a team. You're not saying, I'm not hearing you say things like, we find a client for X amount of dollars, we build them the website and we ship it and off they go. No. How does somebody think about getting into the space that you're in, knowing what you know now, if you have?
Yeah, I'd love to share it. I think this is, and this has been something that in the last 5 years I've really worked on. UGurus, and now Work Elevation is where some of the people moved from UGurus. That coaching, that business mentorship that I have has been really important. One of the biggest things that they coached us on is selling a paid discovery, right? So this is a 3 to 5 meetings where we understand who our customer is, who they are. And then the next meeting is all about who their ideal customer is. And then the next meeting after that is sort of what we call the engagement gap. Where is our customer not finding their ideal customer, or where do they find them? And then what's the marketing look like? What does the sales process look like? And how does all of that work? And so inside of those meetings, we really earn their trust. And it's also paid discovery. So we're getting paid for those times. The deliverables look like website strategy, marketing strategy, SEO, key messages, ideal customer persona, where we're actually building out a person that we think, hey, this person has a name, this is where they went to school, demographic, psychographic information, a lean canvas. So those are things that we present back to the client at the end of the 3 meetings, and we share that with them, and we go, hey, this is what we've learned about you, and we capture all of that. Oftentimes the customers learn a lot about their own problems. They learn a lot about themselves, their core values, their offering. They see things that they want to change inside of their business. And oftentimes through those meetings, they're also saying, oh yeah, we do need that. We do need a better, lead magnet, or we do need SEO. We didn't realize we did, but from talking to you, we do. And like I said, that we really earn their trust and buy-in. And so that paid discovery has been a huge thing, because you can't really, like what a lot of agencies do is just try to sell someone the entire service offering, but that may not actually be the right fit. And
Right.
why would they trust you? They have barely met with you once or twice, and, bidding on RFPs and things like that, there's no relationship there. So that paid discovery is a lower cost engagement. It gets people to you get to know each other, and sort of the guarantee is like, look, whether you work with me or not, you're going to walk home with all of those deliverables. And so those deliverables are something else you could hand to another agency, which would allow them to more effectively build whatever thing that you're looking to build. And so there's a little bit of like hedging their bets, lower cost. But once we've done all that work, every project after that goes so much better. A lot of the copy's already been written because it's in the meeting recordings. Those transcripts are gold. You can feed those transcripts to AI and pull out, all the information you need to know. You're learning about how much are their customers paying them, so you have a better sense of where the budget is, so you can price your proposal at a better fit for them. And you can also maybe avoid a big red flag client that would have been a huge headache, and be like, whoa, this is not somebody I want to work with. And so there's a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities to win there. And I think more than anything, aside from the paid discovery, which I think is huge, is just focusing on the solution. What does this person really need? And nobody really cares about having a website. What they want is more customers. They want more leads. They want their business to grow. They want more visibility. They want the phone to ring. They want their emails, somebody buying whatever they're selling. So that's what you're trying to do. And really focusing on, how do I get them there? That could be an app. That could be SEO. That could be PPC. That could be that business intelligence. That could be a CRM. Whatever that is, like, that's going to help them get to that next step. And so focusing on the solution, and it may not be the website. That's why I really call us a full service digital media agency. I had a customer say, hey, can we do these print flyers? No, I don't do print. Can you help us buy
Yeah.
advertising in the newspaper? No, that's not what I do. Full service digital media agency. So I know everything there is to know, quote unquote, like present myself as the expert in your digital world, help you with your branding, help you with your logo, help you with your website, help you with your SEO or your PPC. And then I've brought in team members and experts to do that. So I would say really looking at just the holistic approach of being someone's partner to help them get to where they're trying to go. And that's where that paid discovery is. Like, you really understand, what are their goals, what are their problems, and how can you present solutions that really solve that.
Yeah. In that environment, I don't want to say it's easier, but it's stickier, right? When you're a part of a team like that.
Yeah.
But it comes with its own challenges, right? So if the solo freelancer who's working one-to-one with clients and small business clients who are also super busy running their businesses, there's a particular challenge there as well.
Yeah.
There's no procurement team, there's no legal team, but there's like, how do I get a hold of this customer to get the job done and then for them to pay me? Those become challenges. And in your situation, it probably becomes, okay, now the next challenge is procurement, legal, and then like once I'm a part of this system, how do I keep those relationships and those connections satisfied? Because there's challenges that freelancers might not see, like there's turnover in those companies, and the champion that brought you in may have moved on, and then somebody looks at you and goes, wait a minute, who are you again? And you're like, whoa, I'm the digital agency. We've been working with you guys for years. Like, don't cut it off.
Yeah.
Those are particular challenges, but you get to build the systems around it, which is what I'm hearing you do. Like, you're building the systems around it. You're building the strategy around it. And then the more you do that, like you build up that muscle, the more of those types of clients that you get,
Yeah.
the business grows, theoretically.
Yeah, and I think what you're hitting on, and I maybe didn't do a great job answering the question, but like I think really is just like looking for the solution of what the problem, the person's actual problem is really the short answer. But I would say some actionable, tangible things that can work really well is anytime I have a meeting with a client, I'm using Fathom, I'm recording that call, I'm taking those transcripts, I'm putting them into the project management software that I have. Sometimes I'm running them through AI and asking them to kind of give me the next task or any actionable things, and really just trying to make sure that those meetings are really productive and that I'm capturing everything I can out of them. So I would really encourage people to have a weekly or a monthly sync with your client, encourage that. And that sort of leads to that ongoing relationship, that ongoing retainer. If you're just building websites for people, then that model is feast or famine. You may not get that next lead, and then you may be so busy doing one that you can't start on another. So we really try to grow past that. And then having those monthly maintenance clients, site care, retainer, that was really the turning point for the agency, where it just made so much more sense as a business because we weren't starting from scratch. There's so much money and time invested in spinning someone up in getting them in your books and your invoice system, and then the W-9s, and like you said, just all of that back and forth. There's just wasted time of just costs of doing business. So a lot of that is avoided in the way that we've approached it, with just trying to get people on recurring monthly retainers and site care. And we also try to make sure we deliver on that. With the site care, they get a monthly report. This is what we did for you. So when you do work for people, make sure you reflect it back to them so they see that value. And then, like you said, if there's changeover in your champion, one, you got a new opportunity wherever they're going, you get like, make sure you follow up with them and be like, what's the next thing? But have a new onboarding call, have a new get to know you call with whoever that main point of contact is. I mean, it's no secret. It's like who you know is so important in business. So be charming, learn their names, ask about their family, ask about their kids, ask about their pets, talk about yourself, share them, say their name again and again. Like when I say, hey, Matt, it's really great to have a call with you, versus, hey, it was to have a great call with you. That just one word of using your name just makes us feel a little bit closer. That Carnegie Mellon, how to win friends and influence people is like, it's so true. I haven't even read it, but I know the highlights is like saying people's names and following up with them and asking personal questions, like bridges that gap of like, hey, you're just another person on the internet who's replaceable. I can go find somebody else on Upwork.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I want to just shift it before we wrap, just talking about Gravity Forms and how that interacts either with your projects or with your customers. Have you done anything cool recently with Gravity Forms? Is Gravity Forms a staple plugin, in what you offer? How do you generally build Gravity Forms into your client projects?
I mean, every client that runs on WordPress has Gravity Forms. Like I said, I try to have a standardized text stack. If somebody comes in with that old contact form, like they may live there for a while, but I'll eventually try to rip it out and replace it. There's always kind of a styling a situation with Gravity Forms. It takes a little bit of work to style it because there's a lot of that you can do with it. It's extremely flexible. So with that, it does come with sort of a little higher cost of ownership to style it. But once you got it, you got it. One of the coolest things we've done recently, and unfortunately I can't name the client or point at it just because sort of they're in the security space and they wouldn't appreciate it, but they had a really cool quiz. So they're pushing their customers to fill out a quiz about the security and resiliency of their organization, and 10, 12 questions, and then they get a score, and that score presents back a download, and then from that download, there's obviously a lead generation that ties into Salesforce. Depending on the answers and the score, you're getting different, white papers that you can download that kind of give you the next step of where you are in your resiliency of your organization from a security standpoint and what the next steps are. And I think that's a really cool use case because we did purchase the quiz add-on, and I think it's got that Typeform. I think Typeform is probably the most well-known for that sort of pacing of a one question per page. So it's a really pleasant experience. It's very, very well designed and beautifully presented. We're living in this age of information overload, and everybody's time is really valuable. These are likely C-suite, people taking this quiz. So you've maybe got 5 minutes of their attention if you're lucky. And so by the way that we presented it, one question per page, and you're showing the progress bar, it really gets people to complete and turn into a lead. And also by that time, you've learned so much about them. So a quiz is really just information gathering in a way to generate an MQL market, qualified lead. So I think that was a really cool use case for Gravity Forms. It was really easy to style. It was really easy to get up and going. All of the data is stored there. It's ready to go, and it seamlessly connected to Salesforce. So there you go, which is not always the easiest thing to connect to.
I was just about to say, yeah, not the easiest. So probably using the Salesforce add-on as well. Even when the team is like, hey, Matt, can you make a video about the Salesforce add-on? Even then I'm like, nah, I don't even know if I want to go into Salesforce.
Yeah, well, it's not Gravity's fault. It's Gravity Form's problem.
No, that's awesome. I don't, so the team just came back from WordCamp Europe, which is a big event for WordPress, obviously in Europe. And the team showed off what we have coming for. So WordPress has the Abilities API, which will help with interfacing your AI agent of choice into WordPress. And Abilities unlocks different abilities for not just Gravity Forms, but with other plugins that support abilities inside of WordPress. But we were showing off our ability stuff, and I think that, as it hasn't shipped yet as of this recording, but soon, you'll be able to query against that, or chat, I guess. You would chat against the entries inside of your Gravity Forms if you decide to, and then do a lot greater things for your customers, or your customers can do some great things like make their own custom reporting and, read those records because they are all stored in Gravity Forms, and then interface with MCP to send that stuff to, other chatbots. So it's going to be definitely the second half of this year is going to be real interesting to see what customers are doing with AI and Gravity Forms and inside of WordPress. So
it's amazing.
Really
I mean, the amount of words that you just used that none of us were using like 2 years ago are insane.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's nuts. I don't even know how to refer to these things. The chat bot is just everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Jesse, this has been some awesome stuff. Great conversation. Where can folks go to say thanks? Do you want them to go to your website? Is there anywhere else you want folks to go and follow you to see what you're up to?
Jesse Brede, Brede. I have an Instagram. I'm heavily invested and also work in the electronic music industry. So my Instagram kind of looks like I'm a DJ that owns a record label. So, which is also what I do. And I play at music festivals. So I kind of have two lives that I live, but I would love to connect with anybody and everyone. So I would say Instagram and LinkedIn are probably the right places to connect with me. If you're if you're feeling like it. And I'm an open book. I'm happy to help. If you're an upstart young developer or freelancer that's looking to learn, like I've had a lot of people help me. I'm happy to point you in the right directions. It's a really cool community that we have with WordPress and just this whole world that we all get to play, and like I have a lot of gratitude and would love to give back to the community. So I appreciate you, Matt, for having me on, and Gravity Forms for building a kick-ass plugin that makes a lot of our lives a lot easier and helps me service my clients. And yeah, lots of love.
Awesome stuff. Thanks so much, Jesse. Everybody else, gravityforms.com/breakdown, where you can find all episodes of the podcast. And if you want to share it with somebody else who does Gravity Forms as well, just tell them to search for Breakdown and any place where they get their podcast episodes. And don't forget to check out Crew Collective, crewcollective.com. New season coming fall. That's the goal, is to get it out by fall. If you love space, if you love creator stuff, check out crewcollective.com.
Very cool.